a little bigger. Okay, good enough. All right, so this was the patch where they unnerfed defenses. So for a bit of a, in fact, let me hit this with this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about traps and defenses. So patch 1.0.2.15, which I think is still the current version of the game, the devs unnerfed ballista damage. So they nerfed ballista damage by 50%, and then they unnerfed it back up to only being a 25% nerf. That was this here, right? They made them a little cheaper to make. They made them cost a little less materials, and then they restored some of the damage that was previously lost, right? So basically, I added, as an end of patch notes thing, I added my 2 cents. And I said that I think the nerf was well intended, but also a bit of a mistake, right? And the reason that it was a mistake was because the things that make the game hero-centric and a hero power fantasy were items, stats, level ups, and perks, right? As you get these things, your heroes get stronger. And building a bunch of tower defenses didn't feel like it was contributing to that. So I think this was the problem they were trying to solve, right? They were trying to solve the problem of, if the primary way that you're killing stuff is through ballistas, that's bad for business. So then I talk a little bit about the fact that, generally speaking, taking things away feels bad, right? If you're like, hey, sorry, your ballistas aren't going to do damage anymore, or they aren't going to work the way that they used to. In a single player game, it feels bad. So my suggestion was that we do a complete rework, and there are 3 planks to that rework. The first was, defenses no longer do damage. Across the board, instead of focusing defensive structures on generating hero synergy, instead of focusing on damage, they would focus on generating hero synergy. It's been a while since I've looked at these slides. Make static defenses increase the hero power by debuffing or controlling enemies, right? And we've already started to do a little bit of that. We made ballistas stun. We made catapults have a snare type effect. And then the last piece of it was modify traps to be less spammable and more targeted and impactful. I don't know if we're going to be able to do all of that last one. That's perhaps more of a stretch goal. But then I went and I talked about each of the defenses and what I thought it should do. So the catapult would become the tar launcher, which was a snare in the 12-tile diamond that it usually affects, and then also a resistance debuff of 25%. We have not implemented the resistance debuff, but we have made it. If I bring up, let's toggle the browser off for a second. If I select the catapult, we now have the catapult with a stun on the central unit, and then an even higher snare on the other units, right? So if we do this, right, we're like, oh, this guy's big and scary. We can do that. And he gets stunned, and all of his compadres are kind of locked in place. I think it still fits with the tar launcher concept. So I would say we held pretty true to the catapult concept here. Then for ballistas, I was originally thinking of them as net launchers. So single target root, single target stun, and then seasoned operators is doubles the targets and increases the stun chance. Now, again, this is approximately what we've done. There's some complexity to it. Like single target root, we didn't implement, right? But what we did was we did low base chance of stun, higher chance of stun, highest chance of double stun. Now, the thing that this does, right, the purpose of the ballistas in my eyes is to control flankers, fast-moving units, by buying you time to get to them and take them down. So the concept here was, you, rather than wanting to put all of your ballistas around the last spell, because then they'll just all overlap, you want all of your ballistas in different places so you get lots of stuns, and, you know, when runners get by, they get stunned, and then you can go clean them up. So again, we've implemented a version of this. So then damage traps, and this is where things get hard, right? Because part of some of these is changing enemy behavior, which we haven't figured out entirely how to do yet. I think that the damage trap might be something that we could do with the nuclear barricade. I think that's what it's called, but we'll talk more about that. So my proposition for the damage trap was a poison lure trap. So something that pulls enemies towards it, which we might be able to do by classifying this damage trap as a wall instead of other things. But basically, enemies within the range of the lure trap must move towards the lure trap instead of towards the circle, using up charges, total of 2. I think we would replace this with enemies that attack walls will attack this thing. But, you know, there's some fiddliness there. And then the idea is that in the movement phase, you're going to have more capacity for controlling where enemies go. And then the last thing is that it grants contagions on enemies that end their turn on or adjacent to the trap. I think I would replace this with the idea that when you destroyed it, it explodes. Right? That might work. But the idea is I want to incorporate some level of like contagion/contaminate generation plus some ability to manipulate pathing of enemies. Unclear if they can necessarily do that. The next one was snare trap, which is basically this introduces a new dynamic that I don't think we can do. But the idea is basically to change it to a spike strip that anybody that walks over gets slowed down. So, right, rather than it being a single entity, it would be this long line, and when it goes off, it would snare everyone in the line. I think we could change it to be a line, but I don't think we can change it so that things that pass over it automatically get hit. It would be if someone stops on it, we would have maybe like, where's my last spell window? We could maybe have the snare trap, when it goes off, do a large, like maybe 2x5 area type of thing. So if they trigger it, a lot of things get slowed down. I think could be very reasonable. Change it to not consume uses? Yes, but I don't think I can make it trigger if someone doesn't stop on it. Right? That's the issue. The issue is right now traps only trigger if someone walks on it. So like my original vision was as this creature pathed from here to here, right? Because this creature is going to end up moving to here, right? It would walk over these 2 traps, and as a result, it would take 2 snares. But that's not the way that traps work. I think it is the way traps should work, but that's, you know, that's a different one. Now, we're a little snare heavy right now, so the snare trap coupled with the tar launcher might feel a little something. I don't know. But then the last one is the stun trap. And I refer to this one as the shrapnel trap. So this would be a catapult style area with a like complete defense shred. So anybody who is caught in the explosion of this isn't going to take any damage, but they're going to be less inclined to dodge, have less armor, have less block. Yeah, that's correct in Lustrous. Nothing has it, but I think that it is the way that traps should work. That's my personal opinion. But yes, it's not something we'll be able to do with XML because it requires kind of like a big refresh to... Like, that would be a very invasive change even from a code perspective, because I don't think we're going to have good examples of it. But that was the concept. And largely, I like all of these ideas. I think the snare trap might be a little samey, coupled with the catapult. I kind of feel like ballistas need some more identity. But overall, the idea is to shift towards a lot of debuff and control. And that's kind of the direction that we've been going. So the first thing that I think I want to do in this space is I want to find skill definitions buildings. Oh, that's not. Here we go. Here they are. And let's find our traps. Now, this test nuclear barricade. I want to see if we can get it enabled. So we might want to do a quick search. It shows up in 2 places in the game files, both of them in skill definitions buildings. So what I'm wondering is I'm wondering if they have created... Yeah, let's see if we can get this enabled. So I think we need a different file. So let's bring up Asset Studio. We can turn off the master browser. Maybe. Can we turn off the browser? Bueller. All right, there we go. Boop. There we go. It's gone. So let's see. So we have building action definitions. We have building definitions. So there's a part of me that wonders if somewhere... Do we have building definitions currently? We do have building definitions. So I'm wondering if somewhere in this file there is a commented out section for the nuclear barricade. Looks like there isn't. You can only have 12 gates. Did I know that? That's interesting. 32 ballistas, 5 production buildings. Interesting. So I want to bring back the nuclear barricade just to see if it exists. So what does this file do? Yeah, I mean, gates generally don't hold a lot of value to me because if I want something to stop enemies, I'm not going to bother. So I don't think building definitions contains what we're looking for. So let's bring back up Asset Studio. So we have building gauge effects, building passive definitions, building skill sounds, building upgrade definitions. Skill definitions, buildings. So there's somewhere... So it might be in a menu. Do we get anything else if we just say build? I was wondering, like, structures? Construction definition. Here we go. All right, so let's see. So repair cost ratio, 50%. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know. So repairing something costs half of what it costs to build it. Very interesting. This looks like it's the construction definition is all repair. I'm going to look at all the definition files. Bark, boss phases, brazier, building. We have action definitions, building definitions. A thing being present in building definitions might be enough. Because we have Ruins B. Ruins A has been moved to a single file for the example. Weird. We have city definitions for the tutorial map. Compendium definition. Construction definition. There's got to be... I don't know if there's going to be a flag, but I do think that there is a place where all of the things that you can build must live. What are ground definitions? Dirt, stone, dirt, crater. Good to know. ID list. Hit by enemy sound definitions. Item list stuff. Male unit face definition. Panic. Pathfinding perk. Playable unit template. Recruitment, resource definitions, not a lot there. Shop definitions, prices, that's all that is. It does, yes. Yeah, but I think it was only for testing anyways. Where is it? We were just looking at it a second ago, right? It's in the building definitions. Oh, it's not. It's in the... Oh, maybe it's not a building. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a skill on barricades. That's an interesting... I see what you're saying now. Cardinal direction. 500 to 1,000 damage. Has the fireball magic effect. So, okay, so now the question that we have is, if we go to building definitions, go back up to building definitions, and we find a trap. So the slow trap can go city or outside, has a single shadow, sidewalk, So what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for something that... So it has some goals, has a skill progression associated with it, but I don't see anything here that ties it to the skill definition, right? So we have a skill definition here. So we have trap skills. So we have stun trap triggered. And this is test nuclear barricade. So I assume that would be triggered. But so we have stun trap triggered. We take this and we go to the building definitions. Search in here for stun trap triggered. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, the way that they're doing it is a little interesting. But this is a very complicated block. So I'm a little disappointed, because I was hoping that whatever was going on with the test nuclear barricade thing was something that we could utilize. Now, we could go look. The other place that we could look is, are boomers in here? We could look at boomers to see if there's a hint as to how we generate what we're trying to generate here. Yeah, so we don't have the one for boomers. So let's bring that up in Asset Studio really quickly. Because I'm wondering what makes boomers explode, other than pure vitriol. So there's the boomer. So its goal is boomer attack. Main idea, explode on a building with preference for town buildings and not defenses. But yeah, I do think there's going to be some type of on death type of thing. Boomer attack on death. Goal 5, boomer attack on death. Goal, computing step on death. So I don't know that buildings are going to have an on death type of thing, right? Because they don't have goals in general. And this appears to be a function of goals. And buildings aren't going to have goals. Which is why I'm not sure we can make a building that explodes when it is destroyed. I don't think we have a good example of that. Curious. Yeah, so I don't think we can use the goal and on death triggers necessarily, right? It would be nice if buildings had an on death trigger, but you know, it was much more reasonable for us to assume that we might be able to enable and disable conditionally weapon abilities based on what we were standing next to. The idea of being able to grab on death and just slap it someplace else seems very unlikely. Okay, so let's see. So here's the building definition. We're gonna ignore nuclear barricade for the moment. We're just gonna make some tweaks. So slow trap triggered. I want it to be more impactful. So let's make it 5 across. Its origin will be at 2-0. So that's the base version, right? Then for the improved slow trap, I don't want it to be this like X pattern. Also, what's the difference? Oh, the extra ones that are hit are only doing 1. Okay, so let's do that, and we'll do that, and then the origin is going to be at Y1 X2. So an improved slow trap now will hit above and below with 1. Then so that's your slow trap sorted. Then your stun trap, what did I say in the documentation that I thought stun trap would be? This one's going to be the shrapnel trap. So this is going to be like a big change where, I mean, the only thing that we're really doing is we're changing the stun trap here to be a set of malices. And the best place to get a set of malices to look at, probably in magic items, if we look at, gosh, what was the example that we used? That was the, maybe we did it on the catapult, now that I think about it. No, we're not doing, we're doing some snare, but this trap is not about snare. So stun trap, so the things that we want it to do is we want it to reduce armor, reduce dodge, reduce resistance, and block. Now, where do we have a good example of reducing dodge? I'm trying to think. We have the magic weapon. We have acid splash, which I think I improved it. Yeah. So this is what. Okay, nice. So this is going to be very similar. We're going to grab all of these. And then I'll do this. There we go. So this is armor total reduced by some amount. This one is dodge. And then this one is block. And then we still need resistance, which we can get from the magic book. What's it called? The tome. There we go. Yeah, weakening touch, and then we can grab the malice debuff. I don't think we debuff damage. I think we're only doing these skills. So we grab that, and resistance reduction, we'll do that. There you go. So this now has a lot of effects, and I think we want it by default to hit more things. Right, we're going to eventually tweak the cost of these things to make them make more sense, but I think the origin then is going to be 1-1. It's just it's an across the board reduction. It's like acid splash, yes. I like the idea of shrapnel grenade just being like you have defenses, you lose them. And to that end, right, like I think I'm going to make these pretty significant because they're only going to hit once. So let's do 30s across the board, and I'm going to do like 300 armor. So the idea is that's going to be like just a boatload of reduction. It's not going to do any stun. In fact, I think we can just get rid of this. We know how to make stuns if we want to. But yeah, we'll do that, and then I think, some type of square pattern is fine. I'm not going to bother. We didn't upgrade our traps, so I'm not going to bother doing more. We got this, which is our snare. I guess I did do the upgraded version of that. I guess it's not that hard to do the improved version, which will just be that again. And then I think we're just gonna extend the range. I don't think I'm gonna do a secondary effect. I don't think that's what we need. Gaining 4 for this improved trap doesn't seem that big a deal, but I think that's actually pretty significant. We could think about doing something with a secondary effect, but I think right now just making it larger is fine. And then that's the nuclear barricade, which means that right about here should be the damage trap. And what did we want the damage trap to do? According to this, oh yeah, the damage trap was lure, right? Which we know we can add contagion if we want to. Which, oh my gosh, contagion plus shrapnel trap is like nutso. I love that combo. I think that's actually really cool. Oh, I don't think we changed the origin properly for this. This should be at 0, 1, 2, 2, 2. So I don't want to do any poison because I think we're trying very hard to remain anti-damage. You know, like we may come back and reconsider that stance later, but I think I like the idea of that. So okay, so skill action, we're gonna replace skill action with skill effect. That's gonna be our new. Right, we're not gonna have. Does skill effect have skill action in it? Uh-oh. Skill action attack becomes skill action attacks. There's a way to do this. Hold on. I need to remember. What was the thing that we changed? Oh yeah, was the catapult. So we want to look at the catapult. So the catapult now is a skill action generic skill effect. Let's grab all of that. Skill action generic skill effect. So we don't need to do an attack. Right? So we get rid of the attack. We put that like that. We don't need skill action nested under skill action. Generic and then skill effect like that. Close that. Close generic. There we go. All right. And then for this one, we want to go borrow a page from Magic Orb. Specifically Infect, which we added Contagion to. So the skill effect is going to be Contagion. So generic, and then base chance 1, turn count. I'm going to make it 3. Just for the purposes of starting out. That might be too much. But I think this makes it so that if you want to put one of these traps on a side where you have a poison user, it's like wildly effective, right? It's like it's really nice that you can choose to do that. We don't need the asset browser up right now. So okay, so then for this one, we don't want to fill in these holes because we like contagion being, you know, like kind of spread around, but not concentrated. So we like that. And then this one here, we could do, for this one, we could fill in with a secondary effect. Something in here. Or, so this right now this is only giving contagion. Is there something else that we could give that complements contagion well, but doesn't... This might honestly be too much contagion also. Like less might be more in this case. Yeah. So let's take this and make this the improved version. Like that. And then let's actually make this one be a smaller diamond that actually doesn't target the center tile. Like that. So now we're getting 4 out of the base one that are really good for propagating, all things considered, and then we get more out of the other one. Now this should be 2 2, or actually we can leave it as 1 1 because we can delete that, and then delete the extraneous. So there we go. So we'll do that, and then this contagion is going to replace. Or actually, hold on. We really want generic for the skill action. So now in the child of skill action, we're going to get rid of attack and replace it with generic. There we go. And then while we're at it, the ballista skill, we should give it the same treatment. This is going to be generic. We're going to close generic there. Then we don't need a base damage or an attack or a damage multiplier. We just need the stun. Okay, let's see if we broke anything there. I give it even odds. We made a lot of changes there. Close that down. There we go. All right, we're ready to fire it back up again. I don't think we currently have Omen of Siege, but yeah, Omen of Siege needs to be rewritten because it does nothing. I don't think we took it in this case, but all right, we still make it in. So now this still says it's doing damage, which means... Oh, I don't think I changed the mounted versions. Hold on. Yeah, this should be also generic. Generic, and then again, we can get rid of damage multiplier, get rid of those. And then Ballista Tower skill, same thing. That was a pretty minor mistake, but we'll grab that. No dodge. Okay, there we go. So now we have generic skill effects for those two, but that's not really what we're looking at now. Slow traps now have a 3 across nature. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Okay, so sometimes Sometimes they are sideways, and they're still doing damage, so I need to fix that. The damage traps are now applying contagion for 3 turns, so that looks good. And the stun trap is doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so how do I make slow traps not rotatable, or do I make them all rotatable? All right, that's a question mark for us for a second. Let's also slow traps have damage on them, so let's fix that. All right, so this is slow trap triggered. Yeah, okay, so this should be generic, and then we zap away the damage. So now we just have the movement points. I think we increase the snare to 3. Nah, I mean we want them to slow it down but not stop them. And then same over here with the generic. Why are you... Did I get it right there? Oh, I think it's just saying it's not matched yet. All right, then we can get rid of all of those. And then I think for the improved version, I'm going to go 3 and 2.